إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا رسول الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم وبعد. Dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, every human being around us is dignified and honored by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and favored over every other creation of Allah Azza wa Jal. Human beings are better than the jinn, they are better than animals, they are better than every other creation of Allah, including the angels. That's what we're going to talk about today. How did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dignify humans? As He talked about this in Surah Al-Isra in verse number 70, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. Indeed, we have dignified the human being. How did Allah dignify us? We have 6 opinions among the scholars of tafsir when they reflected on this particular ayah. The first opinion, said Abdullah ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with them both, he said, because humans can eat with their hands, they can pick their food with their hands, and they can clean it first and look at it carefully, and then they can smell it before they eat it. But other animals, they go with their mouths to the ground and they eat from the ground. So that is the first sign or the first meaning of dignifying the human being according to Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. Some of our sheikhs used to tell us, imagine if your nose is actually in the back of your head. In the back of your head. And you want to drink some soup, for example. You take some soup from the bowl with your spoon and then you try to smell it first before you eat it. So if you want to smell it, you have to put the spoon back in the back of your head to smell it first. And you might spill something in yourself. By the time you're trying to eat it, nothing is going to remain in your spoon. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala designed us this way. So you have your nose above your mouth, you can smell your food, and then you can eat. So that is the first manifestation of honoring the human being. The second manifestation is that we're able to express ourselves. And that's the opinion of Al-Imam Al-Dhahak. May Allah be pleased with him. We can express yourself. I mean, I have some feelings. I can tell you what I'm feeling right now. Now, I have some information in my head, some knowledge that I want to share with you. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant me sincerity so I can talk to you. You can express your opinion about me and tell me what I have done wrong, what is beneficial so I can do more of it. So expressing ourselves, being able to speak about our needs is a very important blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imagine if you're unable to speak. Imagine an animal that is sick and it's unable to speak or hungry and unable to tell people, I'm hungry. She wants to eat, a cat wants to eat, a dog wants to drink, and they cannot express themselves except if another human comes and is able, because of his or her experience, to identify what this dog or that cat needs. So being able to say my emotions so people can consider my emotions or my needs so I can fulfill my needs is one of the ways in which Allah dignified humans. The third meaning of وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ, we have dignified the human being, is the opinion of Imam Ata rahimahullah ta'ala, may Allah be pleased with him. He said بِتَعْدِيلِ الْقَامَةِ, the human being is created upright, straight. You can look to all directions. You can look up if you want. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created some animals like the pig, for example. The pig has difficult time to look up. They cannot even look up very easily. It's very difficult for them. Look at fish, for example, on the sea and how they look up. It's difficult for them to look up, but it's easier for them to navigate and look right and left. To look behind them, it might be an issue for them as well. But for a human, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created him up straight, upright, and he can look right, left, back, and front, and it's easy for him. That's another way of Allah to dignify humans. The fourth opinion that we have today is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dignified humans by giving men beards on their faces And He granted women long, beautiful hair, and they have braids. And Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha, may Allah be pleased with him, the wife of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, it was narrated that she said one time, Subhana man zayyana wujuha al-rijali bil-liha. Subhanallah. Glory be to Allah, the one who beautified men's faces with beards. So the beard that a man has in his face, which is a part of the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, to have a beard. Any hair growing in your face, in your beard, it's a part of the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Regarding the different lengths of the beard, we have different opinions, different lengths of the beard, how long it should be. But you have to have some beard in your face. That is a part of the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and the Sahaba used to see it as a way to beautify men's faces. And for women, their beautiful long hair and their braids, al-dhawa'ib. Al-dhawa'ib is the braids. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala beautified men with beards and beautified women with braids. The next opinion is actually the opinion of an Imam al-Tabari. May Allah be pleased with him in his tafsir. He said, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. We have dignified humans بِتَسْلِيطِهِمْ عَلَى بَقِيَّةِ الْخَلَائِقِ وَتَسْخِيرِ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ لَهُمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the human the power over every other creation. Imagine even a lion. You think a lion is a very strong animal. Yes, it is. It is a very strong animal. But still a human being can control the lion. And we can put it at a cage. And the reason that we can put a lion inside of a cage is because of the brain that Allah has given us. So we have control even over the most powerful animals. And when it comes to elephants, also we can control elephants even though they are one of the biggest creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the biggest creatures. After dinosaurs, for example, are the elephants. And the human is still able to control the elephant and to feed it and even to kill it sometimes and end its life. Allah Azza wa Jal said, وَالَّذِي خَلَقَ لَكُمْ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ جَمِيعًا مِنْهُ خَلَقَ لَكُمْ وَسَخَّرْنَا لَكُمْ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. Allah has created everything for your sake and for my sake. Everything is here to serve the human being, because the human being is the one who's supposed to have the intellect, the one who's supposed to control this world, and the one who's supposed to worship Allah and implement His religion and His Sharia. The next opinion, which is the sixth opinion, it is the opinion of Imam al-Qurtubi rahimahullah ta'ala. Imam al-Qurtubi in his tafsir al-Jami' li-Ahkam al-Quran, the compendium of the rulings of the Quran, he said the strongest opinion according to him rahimahullah is Allah Azza wa Jal dignified humans with al-aql, the intellect. What is al-aql in Arabic language? Al-aql in Arabic language is to be able to tie up something. You know, for example, if you have a dog and you want to walk your dog outside, I know for a majority of Muslims, they don't really have dogs as pets. But if you've seen some people outside having dogs, or if you yourself have a horse or a donkey, for example, and you want to walk it outside or to ride your horse or your donkey or your camel, what do? You have to have a leash. This leash in Arabic language is called aql. And that's why Rasulullah said, اعقلها وتوكل. If you want to rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and achieve this kind of worship that's called tawakkul, reliance on Allah Azza wa Jal, he said, اعقلها وتوكل. You have to tie up your camel and then rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can't just leave your camel do whatever it wants and then you claim that you're relying on Allah Azza wa Jal. So you have your aql. Aql is literally the thing that ties you up. Let's say I'm so angry right now and I really want to say something that is rude or something mean or to insult someone or to give him names or whatever, but the aql makes me able to restrain myself, control my anger. Without the aql, I can just say whatever I want. A time of happiness as well. I have a aql because I cannot just go and give people promises because I am very happy now, but I can break my promises later because I only promised them when I was so excited because I did not use my brain or my aql. So al-aql is the opinion of Imam al-Qurtubi rahimahullah ta'ala. Imam al-Qurtubi said, فَمِثَالُ الشَّرْعِ الشَّمْسِ وَمِثَالُ الْعَقْلِ الْعَيْنِ. The Sharia of Allah, the religion of Allah is like the sun. And your brain, your aql, your intellect is your eyes. If you want to see the sun, you need to open your eyes. Which means, if you want to understand the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have to be able to open your mind and understand it. One of the biggest sins of the people of the hellfire that they are going to regret is that they did not use their intellect and their aql. Allah said, وَقَالُوا لَوْ كُنَّا نَسْمَعُ أَوْ نَعْقِلُ مَا كُنَّا فِي أَصْحَابِ السَّعِيرِ. Can you imagine? In Surah Al-Mulk, Surah Tabarak, Allah said, people in the hellfire, they will regret and say to each other, if we just used to listen to what the messengers of Allah told us and use our intellect and our minds to think and reflect, we wouldn't have been here punished in the hellfire. So use your intellect. That's how Allah dignified us. How else did Allah dignify humans? Allah Azza wa Jalla said in Surah At-Tin, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. We have created the human being in the best form ever. But then He said, ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ سَافِلِينَ. And then Allah said, but we will reduce the human being to the lowest of the low. That's very scary. Why would Allah do this? We have 4 opinions or 4 reasons why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might reduce some people to the lowest of the low. I'm going to conclude this episode with, inshallah ta'ala. You are dignified. You are so honored by Allah. But be very careful of 4 things that if you've done, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might put you in the lowest of the low. Number 1 is committing sins. رَضَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ سَافِلِينَ means we will reduce him to the lowest of the low in hellfire. Stay away from committing sins. Number 2 is old age. Of course, it's not your mistake. But what you can do is to prepare for your life. So when you're in old age, you're able to take care of yourself when you're old. Because otherwise, you will be reduced to the lowest of the low. Number 3, Imam Muhammad Abdu said, رَضَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ سَافِلِينَ is by following his desires and being heedless and doing whatever he wants. Don't just do whatever you want, because that's not a dignifying way of a human being. Number 4, again, is making the wrong choice. When you make the wrong choice, you have 2 choices, and you always choose the thing that only follows your desires or fulfills your desires, your physical desires, without thinking about the emotional or the spiritual dimension. That's another way for you to lose this honor that Allah has given you by dignifying you as a human being. We'll stop here inshallah ta'ala. وأقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون